So I was minding my own business at work and on my break, and I just pull up my phone to check my channel out of curiosity. I know I haven't really been on there for a while, and I check notifications, and then it seems that almost out of the blue, YouTube decided to pretty much make a random Hellblazer video that I made some time ago. Pretty much my most viewed video on my channel. My subscriber count has jumped by a third, and by the time of this video's recording, damn near 1K, in which I say thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. And I'm still kind of shocked that of all the things that I've worked on, that's the one video that actually has jumped in popularity over everything else I've made, which is the randomization of YouTube in general. Sometimes memes make more headlines than actual content that takes a lot longer, a lot harder to make. It's the nature of things, and I'm aware of that. But luckily, I appreciate it regardless. Blessings come in all different forms and shapes and sizes. And yes, I'm aware of the handful of criticisms that I see in that video, and I will only address the two, and that I can't say the word umbilical cord correctly, or that I made the very small mistake that John technically isn't English because he's born in Liverpool.
Not in Liverpool!
So which would make him Skulls.
Is Redmond?
Yes, now that'll be easy, lad.
Alright. And Doyle.
All right, the fair, what's happening?
Yes, Scouse.
They're in the building, man. Look at these man looking at each other. What did he say? What did he say?
Which, sorry, pretty much a mistake on my part, honestly. And to be frank, I'm an American. I don't live in the UK, obviously. I'm gonna get details like that wrong.
Like old school football would be like,
yeah.
Who are ya? Who are ya? Who are ya?
Who are ya?
Take.
Alright, I'm not gonna get upset over someone from Scotland not knowing the difference between Georgia and Alabama, alright? It happens. Different countries, different cultures, and so on. I'm also aware that Matt Ryan is actually a Welsh actor, so technically John Constantine hasn't really gotten a fair, true adaptation on a technicality that Matt Ryan doesn't really talk with the correct accent, and that, ironically enough, the closest thing to a more accurate portrayal was the Sandman audio series on Audible, narrated by Neil Bloody Gaiman of all people. So don't know if I still want to give that attention right now at this moment, but either way. So with that silliness out of the way, let's dive into something a bit interesting that I kind of wanted to talk about. Let's talk about the monsters and demons of Hellblazer.
There's nothing more pathetic than a god who begs.
You're the one soul that will come up here to collect myself.
Can't even be a corpse in peace. Wacky doesn't even got book and stuff.
Because of the life you don't.
You've all screwed hell, half-breed.
The world of Hellblazer, or the Sandman universe, depending upon where you read, is host to many a creature, curses, spirits, demons, angels, and so on. Because it is a universe where almost every religion is pretty much true in their own way, there's a multitude of different monsters and spirits that hail from different belief systems. Judeo-Christianity, of course, being the more dominant because it's one of the more dominant religions in our time and in the world of Hellblazer. So a lot of the more powerful monsters and creatures we see within that world are in fact ones that might be more familiar to us because they're in the Bible or in the Quran or something similar of that nature. That does not mean there aren't other creatures go around roaming around. There's in fact a good multitude of ones. Ancient gods, ancient spirits buried deep within caverns and places forgotten by humanity still lurk and still are alive only by the sheer fringe aspect that there are a few of their followers still living to this very day, and those beliefs keep them alive. As we see throughout some of the stories, demons and monsters do in fact pose a massive threat to a lot of our main leads within this universe. Dream being a good example. Despite the fact he is a very powerful character, fighting isn't exactly his first priority or his first option. There are alternatives to how he deals with these threats, and the same can be said for Constantine. Now, if you don't know this, in the Vertigo universe, Constantine is exactly a fighter. He's a trickster. He uses magic, yes, but he's not the most strongest, most powerful mage in all the world. He's good, but he's not that good. And what he uses is his charm and his wit to get ahead. Of course, a little bit of cheating thanks to some dark magic or some leeway that he may have actually got hands on and through unsavory means. Aspects of the supernatural that John mostly encounters, as we see throughout the main Hellblazer series, are succubi, regular demons such as shapeshifters and different soldiers and warriors or tricksters themselves that seep out of hell or are very embodiments of certain sins or certain unholy aspects of life. From the first of the fallen and his two brothers to Lucifer Morningstar himself, who's a fallen angel, as well as other beings we see throughout. Even though we don't see them that often, vampires of course do exist within the Vertigo universe and are very much a threat and nowhere near as, well, weak as they are in other forms of media. Some ways and methods that we might know how to kill them don't always work within this world. But circling back to John, I don't want to get too sidetracked by the creepy, spooky, nitty-gritty of all things. There's a lot when it comes to the world of Hellblazer and Vertigo DC in general. I mean, like, I haven't even touched books of magic yet, and the massive implications about how deep the magic and lore of that universe actually goes and grows. It's actually pretty insane, to say the least. But again, circling back, jumping back in, talking about succubi, there's actually one character who is a succubus that does play a massive role within the, well, Hellblazer narrative. It does play a role in the main Hellblazer series, her name being Ellie. Someone who has a very harsh, on-again, off-again, somewhat messed up friendship, if that's the right word, companionship with John. She isn't exactly the most benevolent person, obviously, she's a freaking demon, but occasionally John and her goals and sometimes enemies would align and they'll end up working together. A good example was being that, in slight spoilers, Ellie at a point had a forbidden relationship with an angel and got pregnant from it. Those up high actually heard about this and were not happy about this at all. They took her BF away and ended up aborting her child. That's kind of a good question if you're asking me. We learned later down the line that in fact one of the angels that terminated Ellie's child was in fact Gabriel. Yes, the Gabriel. And in the midst of this, John and her hatch a plan to pretty much kill a couple birds with one stone, getting rid of the criminal group that Gabriel is actually backing, as well as clipping his wings, so to speak. Ellie, taking a different form, actually goes on a couple dates with Gabriel, and finally, one day, she ends up seducing him. Then, in the middle of their encounter, she shifts back into her regular form and rips his heart out. And thus, because Gabriel unknowingly had intercourse with a demon, he is actually barred from heaven from that point forward. John and Ellie find him, John cuts his wings and holds his heart against him. Elementals are also another subset of demons/spirits that roam the earth to an extent. They are kind of like curses in a weird way, where they're some embodiment of the environment around them. Depending upon how it works, and it depends on the story obviously, that they're either a consciousness taken control by an individual or something else completely. A good example is Swamp Thing, someone who used to be a human being, depending upon which story you go to, and now is a very powerful creature who has control of the green. Someone who has actually encountered John numerous times. And matter of fact, if y'all already don't know this, John Constantine's debut came from Swamp Thing, so it's rather fair, if anything. But we cannot just talk about other demons and shapeshifters and monsters and succubi and swamp creatures. We also have to talk about demons, and one demon in particular, Nurgal. But I was going to talk about someone else? Nah, we'll get to good old Scratch in a minute. But first, Nurgal is in fact a demon that John has encountered several times. One of the most notable ones was in the storyline Newcastle, a really well done, really well written narrative, and one of the, well, darker stories that pretty much shape the tone of Hellblazer. Things don't exactly go according to plan, and Nurgal kind of wins at the end. Even though it is not one of the more, well-known stories, Dangerous Habits being one of them, it still plays a massive role in various adaptations that Constantine has had in the past. We see a little bit within the Constantine TV show. We also see it done in Constantine City of Demons, which is a badass fucking movie that I recommend y'all watch. If you're ever interested in Constantine at all, it's up there. It's amazing. But Nurgal is but one demon that Constantine typically encounters. One of the biggest ones, and one of the ones that are a massive threat to him, as well as many others, is in fact the devil himself, the first of the fallen. Now, in the world of Hellblazer and Vertigo in general, the First of the Fallen isn't exactly Lucifer Morningstar. They are two different entities. Lucifer did in fact start his little rebellion in heaven and was cast down to hell because of it, but first, he was already there waiting. Pure evil incarnate, the very creature that rules hell itself, along with his brothers. Someone who has casted many curses, tricked many people, swindled many lives and many souls. An individual that Constantine has dealt with multiple times over in many stories. Their rivalry being one of the best things that ties the series together. Whenever the First of the Fallen shows up in a narrative, you know it is about to get serious. But what makes their rivalry that much more interesting isn't the fact that Fallen sees Constantine as a thorn in his side or someone who wants his soul. He in fact sees him as his own devil, in fact. His own monster, his own dragon to slay. Someone who's been a pain and a hindrance to him for a long time. A mere human who got lucky. A mere human who tricked him. And that is why, well, that among many other reasons, is why the First of the Fallen hates Constantine as much as he does. That is why First of the Fallen is one of the most terrifying villains within a Constantine and Hellblazer mythos. So, that is all I have for now. There is a plethora, and I do mean a plethora, of other monsters, creatures, curses, and different elements and supernatural entities that just roam around the Vertigo universe. It's that dense with so much detail. And if y'all want me to talk any more of it, please let me know. I had a lot of fun making this. It's not often I actually get to do this, and I actually managed to get a lot of free time, so hopefully in the near future, we do a couple more deep dives here and there. Matter of fact, Books of Magic is very interesting, and hopefully I talk about it at some point, but I make no promises. But if y'all want me to talk about that and talk about other aspects of Hellblazer or even Sandman, please, once again, let me know in those comments below. But for now, I gotta take off. Y'all take care and stay chill, Wanderers.